Welcome back to DajibanLife. This week, if you can't tell, this idler pulley right here is brand new because my old one went out. The bearing basically blew up and it was rattling around in here, which caused the belt to run off the tracks. And as you can see here on my AC compressor unit, the belt actually cut the wires here. So I'm gonna have to fix this at some point, which means I'm gonna have to take this clutch off and hopefully fish the wires out inside there or somehow. I don't really want to buy a new AC compressor unit because this one works fine for the most part. I could probably use a recharge, but you know, whatever. But yeah, it's just these two wires is really the only problem. So I'll look at fixing that later and pretty much just roll with how the van is for now. So instead of doing that, today I'm deciding to work on a couple of my other projects. As you can see, we have two cars up here on jack stands that are not functioning right now. It's a 1990, this one is a 1991 Honda Accord, the CB7 body, which I particularly enjoy. So right now it's pretty much torn apart. It's pretty much gutted inside as well. Let me see if I can show you guys that. So yeah, it's kind of a disaster zone in here. It's all taken apart. I actually bought this car at an auction for I think like $4 grand, which is probably worth, I mean, it's probably not worth that much. It's definitely not worth $4 grand, but this car only has 30,000 miles on it, which I thought would make it worth it. And I particularly like this CB7 chassis, and that's something I can't recommend enough if you're into cars or getting into cars as a young person, is that just pick one chassis and stick with it, because especially like a chassis like this, I can throw in, I know the engine is pretty much brand new with only 30,000 miles right now, the F series. But you can throw an H series in here. You could probably even possibly K-swap it, which I might do in the future once this engine dies, which won't be for a really long time because it's a Honda. But basically pick a body and then just sort of stick with that, because you can always do engine swaps and whatnot. This was actually originally an automatic car, but I'm switching it over to a manual, as you can see. And the theme of this build is OEM Plus. So I'm using all OEM parts, which means I needed a second car, a parts car. So that's what that is right there. That's a parts car for this car. This is a manual 93, I think, Honda Accord. So it's a little bit different. This one had ABS and some other nonsense on it that this one doesn't have. But I'm basically swapping over the transmission and the wiring harness, and hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. Although, you know, I haven't fired this up yet because I stopped about 2 years ago. So it's been about 2 years since I've worked on this. I stopped 2 years ago at installing the new clutch and the flywheel. So, and here's the transmission. So yeah, I thought I'd work on this a little bit, maybe at least get the transmission mounted and the engine mounts in, all of them, because right now this engine is hanging by, I think, just one mount right now over here on the right side, and the rest of it is being held up by a jack stand. So that's not good. And since it's been like this for 2 years, I figured I'd better get to work on it and get it running. But so far the mods I've done OEM Plus style is I've swapped out the intake manifold for an H23 manifold with a spacer and a bigger throttle body. So that should help a little bit in performance, hopefully. And then I got some new headers here, right? Just eBay headers, because this car was in an accident when I bought it, and there was damage on the underside of it, and so the muffler and all the piping for it was pretty torn up. So I figured I'd just get a new muffler and just get headers while I'm at it. Why not? Kind of thing. But yeah, other than that, I thought about doing a wire tuck since I pulled the entire harness out of this since it was an automatic and I needed the manual harness. But I think I might just kind of leave it. I might regret it later for not tucking it while I was in here and had everything, torn apart basically. But I think I'm just going to leave it stock for the most part. So when you open the hood, it looks like a stock engine. But, it kind of isn't. So it's just an OEM Plus car. So it's probably going to just be my daily driver. Once I get, lodging that isn't a Dajiban. Oh, another thing I've done already is I've done the 5-lug conversion on the rear. The front still needs to be done. I think the parts are here somewhere. There's a junkyard back here. But I don't know exactly where that is right now. But I did source parts. Maybe it's this. No, these are for the Dajiban. Anyway, I have some parts off on a newer model Accord for the front as a 5-lug conversion on the front as well. But yeah, and it's got Tain coilovers. Tain. I don't know how to say some of these company names. And another thing I did was also I swapped out the rear cross member for one out of an Agoura CL. I don't know if that really improves performance, but since it is OEM Plus, I figured an Agoura rear cross member is better than a Honda one. It did come with a strut bar, which is nice because the original one didn't have a strut bar, so it is kind of plus, I guess, there. But all these, I think these are also off the CL also. And then I have a camber kit at some point that I'm gonna install. But the plan right now is just to get this car up and running, and then pretty much do everything else later. As far as, because I had a whole plan for this car, like getting everything sound deadened, and adding. Oh, I do have a rear strut bar there. So yeah, doing some tuning to it, but it's been sitting like this because it's just been kind of overwhelming, I guess. So now I'm just gonna get it up and running, get it driving around, and then that'll kind of breathe life back into my motivation to work on this car. So that's going to be what I'm going to be doing today. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you want to see. I do plan on making some more videos about the Dajiban, so don't worry about that. But I'm kind of switching over my focus because the Dajiban's pretty much done. There's certain things I would want to do to it, but everything works as it should, and I'm very comfortable in there. So I don't really see a reason to mess around with it too much more until I get into a better situation where I can actually do some real work to it. You know what I mean? So in the meantime, I'm just gonna get this guy up and rolling, and and so yeah. So there might not be too many updates about the Dajiban for a while, because I'll be focused mostly on this. But yeah, let me know if there's anything specific you guys want to see. Okay, so I got it in, but I can't get it to catch. It's just hanging there right now. So I gotta hurry up and, whew, I gotta hurry up and fix this. All right, after a lot of finessing, I think the transmission's in. That was the hardest part that I need to get done to continue work on this car. So hopefully now that that's done, I can just get everything wired up, all the electrical ran, and start it up, and you know, see if she'll start. And yeah, then it should be on its way pretty much. After that, it's easy street. So yeah, thanks for watching.